All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to break down what can feel like a super complicated topic, the special education system. If you're a parent and you've ever felt totally overwhelmed by all of this, yeah, this explainer is for you.
Listen to this quote from a parent, Candace. She calls it a whirlwind of uncertainty and fear. And wow, if that feeling sounds familiar, I just want you to know you are so not alone. The whole point here is to bring some calm, some clarity to that whirlwind.
Okay, so where do we even begin? Let's start with a parent's reality. You know, that moment a child gets a diagnosis, and suddenly you're stepping into this whole new world of special education. It's a lot.
But here's the thing. This journey is all about moving from that feeling of uncertainty to a place of empowerment. Think of this as your blueprint, your guide to becoming a confident, powerful advocate for your child.
All right, every big journey needs a map, right? Well, in this world, your map is basically built on federal law. It's the foundation for everything.
So, the first big landmark on that map you've got to know is a law called IDEA. That stands for the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. This is the big one, the bedrock that guarantees your child has rights in public school.
Now, IDEA promises something with another acronym, FAPE. It means a free, appropriate public education. And I really want to stress this part. FAPE is not a favor the school does for you. It's a federal requirement. They have to provide it.
Okay, so how do we actually make FAPE happen? That's where the IEP comes in. It stands for Individualized Education Program, and it's the actual tool, a legally binding document, by the way, that's built just for your child.
And this is so important. Please don't think of the IEP as just some paperwork you sign once a year and then forget about. It's meant to be a living document, a dynamic process that changes and grows as your child does.
So we've got our map with all the key terms. Now let's actually walk the path. Let's look at how the IEP process unfolds step by step.
Okay, this timeline here pretty much lays out the whole journey. It kicks off with a referral, and you, as the parent, can get that ball rolling with a written request. Then there's a clear timeline for the school to do an evaluation. After that, the team decides on eligibility, and if your child qualifies, the IEP meeting happens. Services start, and then, and this is key, it gets reviewed every single year to make sure it's still working.
Let's zoom in on that first step, the evaluation. This is where it all begins. You can request it, or the school can. But no matter what, they need your consent before they can do anything. The law says they have to do a full and individual assessment, which means they need to look at the whole picture of your child, not just one little piece.
And when you get to that IEP meeting, you're not walking in alone. The law requires a whole team to be there. You'll have teachers, a district rep, maybe some specialists, but look who's right at the top of the list, the parents. You are not just a spectator. You are an equal and essential member of that team. Never forget that.
Okay, now we need to talk about a really important, kind of subtle detail in the law. Getting this is a game changer for how you advocate for your child.
So here's the deal. The law uses the word appropriate. It says your child is entitled to an appropriate education, one they can benefit from. But appropriate isn't always the same thing as optimal, right? It's not always the absolute best instruction to help them reach their full potential. And that gap, that space between appropriate and optimal, that's where you, the parent advocate, come in. That's where your voice is so powerful.
Which brings us to the final, and honestly, the most important part of this whole thing. Stepping into and owning your role as an advocate.
I really want this to sink in. You are your child's most powerful advocate, period. More than anyone else on that team, you know your child. Your voice, your perspective, your drive, that's what makes the real, lasting difference.
So when you're sending that email or asking that question in a meeting, remember what you're doing. It's not just a task, it's advocacy. Your voice doesn't just matter, it literally has the power to shape your child's education and their future.
Look, I know this whole process can feel huge and complicated, but it's not a journey you have to take unprepared. Now you have the map. You know the key steps. You are absolutely ready to move forward with confidence. So the only question left to ask yourself is, what's my first step?